And one of the things that's been coming up a lot is just when your life fucking falling apart.
Relatable.
Yes, and it seems like God is just stripping everything away from you. And I've been in that space, and it was very hard to navigate that space. But the beautiful thing about it is that I got the perspective that God was just making space for new things to come that better served me. And I'm just wondering, have you ever been in that space? And if you haven't, could you attest to someone out there who's listening who is going through that space right now?
Yes, I have. And I shared a little bit with you about this as well. Like this year, I went through a lot. So it's just funny that you bring that up for my podcast episode because I have been stripped of a lot of my earthly pleasures and comforts this year. And it was honestly, to be honest with you, it was traumatic, and when you brought it up to me, I was nervous about sharing because I felt like, maybe I would start crying or something like that. But it is a great revealing of your soul. And basically, for me, in my experience, earlier this year, back in March, I was in 2 car accidents 3 days apart.
Wow.
And the first one, single car accident, very minor, hit a curb, but my car got totaled as a result of it. And it was traumatic. I was driving with one of my friends after a party, after a good night out, and it put a strain on our relationship. But I figured that I could move on and move forward from that. But when I got into that second car accident, and it happened in such a similar way, to where it was technically still a single car accident, but this time a truck ran me off the road, and the rental car that I had at the time got totaled. I knew that it had a bigger message rather than, okay, you
need to learn how to drive.
Yeah, I'm about to say you too close to the curb. It wasn't just
right.
It wasn't that.
So what was the overall message that you got from that?
I knew that at the time I was on the wrong path. I was working at a company where deception and illusions were encouraged from their salespeople. And I learned this a while ago, like with my first corporate sales job where I was performing really well and I would do conjuring rituals in order to help support the results that I would get. At that time, my guides already told me that I could not use my gifts for deception or be unethical with my gifts.
Right.
Because in that role, I would be speaking to people on the phone and they'll be like, yeah, I'm signing up, everything. But the way that they sound was like they were zombies. Like my energy was just controlling them and leading them to do certain things. And when I noticed that, I knew that I couldn't be unethical with what I was doing.
Right.
And so when I got into this role, the last role that I was at, where I'm speaking about, and I was encouraged to lie, I was encouraged to perpetuate illusions in order to get people to sign up for, what they were selling.
What they were selling?
You really want to get into that?
You ain't got to get into that. I just think it's ironic. I think it's ironic.
But they was okay. So I worked for a personal injury marketing firm, and they were in partnerships with personal injury lawyers.
That's ironic as hell to me.
Yes. So with personal injury, technically you make a claim on someone else's insurance if you're in a car accident and you're not at fault. So in that role, we were encouraged to coach people on how to lie. Oh God,
You ain't got to go too deep into it.
I can't. Please.
But it's just the point that you were saying, like you were coached to perpetuate a lie and illusion.
Yes,
and you know that was messing up your karma.
Yes, it messed up my karma really bad. And so the first accident was just a total car hitting a curb. It was so small. I was like, okay. Me and my friend kind of got into it afterwards, but after we was like, okay, whatever. Move on. Let's just kind of keep working. You know what I'm saying? Because we were working together at the time. And hey, we can get some money from it. Oh well.
Right.
Then 3 days later, in the rental car that I was in, to get ran off the road and total that car, I was like, oh no, I'm just on the wrong path. Like, I have
Right.
to stop. And the funny thing is that 2 months before that, I told my friend I was working with, I was like, I can't lie the way that y'all do. She was like, oh, you tell them too much about the contracts. You tell them too much information about this. And I was like, I can't lie the way that y'all do. But, we started to add in new members on the team, and it's a very competitive environment, and I wanted to keep my spot, and I wanted to continue to perform the way I was. So I acclimated to the lie. I went with the script, and I said things and omitted things to get people to sign up. And 2 months later, I reaped reaped those rewards. Like, what I put out is exactly what I got back. So
yes, that's like so ironic, and it's like so.
I know.
And I know that shit sucked being in it, but
Yeah.
like but we need to give you a round of applause though. For you, like, for one, acknowledging that, because a lot of people will ignore the signs. And then they'll, have a victim mindset, like, why is this happening? Why is that happening to me? Instead of thinking, what is the bigger picture here? What is the message that God is really trying to send to me? Like, what did I do that could have possibly
contributed to
yes.
this type of results in my life? Because, to be honest, I'm the type of person where I get what I put in. What the work that I put in, whether it's good or bad, I receive that back. And for me to, first of all, like, after that second accident, I was having nightmares about that accident. I was having, like, for me to be so close to feeling like I could die
Right.
over trying to make some money, I knew it wasn't worth it. After that second accident, I got in the car with my auntie, and I was like, I have to quit this job. That was the first thing I said to her when she picked me up from the accident. I have to quit this job, because there's no reason that I get into 2 accidents back to back. That does not happen to me. I used to pride myself on how well I could drive. I used to pride myself. I used to feel like I could fly a plane because I could drive so well.
Right.
So for this to happen, I knew that wasn't just a mistake or somebody driving crazy or, oh yeah, time to get some insurance money. It wasn't that.
It was a message, man.
That I'm on the wrong path. And, cars symbolize freedom. And then obviously the road, your path, your journey. Look, your personal freedom is taken away now. You don't even have a personal car for yourself. You had to rent a car. Right. And you're still on this path.
Come on.
Swipe me right out. So, I mean, it was one of those things to where it was very traumatic. I lost a lot. And then, funny enough, like, before I was in that role, I was in a corporate sales role. And because I quit that job before a year was up, I think it was like 8-9 months. When I would apply to different jobs, my resume isn't as competitive. So now I actually work with my dad on his staffing agency. And I know that with certain contracts and for certain employers, they have rules against, job hopping. Let's say you have 3 jobs in the last 24 months.
Right.
They won't hire you. And I was getting rejected a lot. And I was dealing with that. And then I actually put 2 and 2 together, and I was like, oh, I did the job hops. And now they're like, no, we're not accepting you. So now obviously I have to just go within, and I can still use my gifts in terms of my conjure, my gift of gab, speaking to people, being able to bring in sales with my charm or whatever it is.
Right.
But now I'm doing that for my father, and it's very symbolic. I mean,
yes, it is.
I appreciate it. I love it. I mean, I like working with him because it's always a story. It's always something exciting happening. It is commission only. So.
But you're really good at that, though.
I am. But I'm listed as a unpaid owner or whatever. So that's fine. But it's just like one of those things to where it's like, sometimes God takes everything away from you so that you can hone in on the gifts that he gave you. Sometimes we add in like just everything from what we see externally from other people. Oh, I want to have this, I want to have that, because we see other people excelling. I only went to that job because my homegirl was making 6 figures and she was only there for a couple months.
Right.
And I was at a job to where I'm making, 75 a year, and it's like I've been here for 2 years, and I'm not even close to touching 6 figures. So that's why I switched over, and I experienced that luxury for a few months, 8 months, 9 months, and then it came to completion. So I mean, as someone who's going through the Saturn return as well, it was just one of those things to where it's like, I know what this is about.
Right.
I know what you're trying to show me. I know what you're trying to encourage me to do, so I'm willing to do it.
No, and I felt the same way when I had that exact situation happen. Not the exact situation.
Yeah,
but
it was that bad. What happened with you?
So when I first moved to Atlanta, January 2024, before I moved, I knew that there was going to be some transitional things happening in my life. Soon as I got the call from the lady who got me into film, that hey, I got this film job up here in Atlanta. They gonna let me hire an assistant. I want it to be you. It's gonna be going for a couple of months. They got some other shows. You may or may not get hired, but it's an opportunity. The moment I got that call, December 2023, I knew that if I was to get that position, one, I was gonna be making more money than I ever made doing anything I've ever done so far. Two, I was gonna be in a whole new city. And three, I was going to be away from home for a long time again, for a couple months at least.
Wow.
So I knew this was going to be a transitional period. I didn't know what all that meant, but I knew there was going to be some changes going on in my life. And I promised God, I said, God, whatever transitions you put in my life, I'm going to accept them. Straight up. I said that. So then,
how did it go?
So when I moved up here, like, things were going good until it wasn't. Like after the first month, it's like everything went to fucking shit. Like within a span of a week, I got demoted from my job.
Oh.
I ended a 2-year relationship.
Wow.
I got into a car accident and I got scammed for $650 by them little boys on the street.
How did he scam you?
Hey man, it was my fault.
What?
Man, he had a cool little hat, and they was trying to sell waters and stuff. I said, hey, bro, that hat hard. I said, how much you want for the hat? He said, 20, but I give you for 15. And I'm like, all right, bet. I said, I ain't got no cash. He said, oh, I got cash out. And I said, all right, cool. And I said, what's your cash out? And he was like, duh. And then I was like, what that is? He said, I put it in for you real quick.
Oh my God.
I didn't think nothing of it because like when I do business, I go to markets. I go to markets and stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And you be like, oh, what's your cash out?
And they just type it in.
They just type it in, right? So he typed it in, and gave me my phone back. And I see he sent himself something. And I thought it was what I put, which was $15. This nigga sent $650 to himself.
Wow.
Yes.
Damn.
All of that shit happened within a span of a week. And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I was so hurt, but I remember my promise of God. And I said, God, whatever I'm going to accept it.
Yeah.
And I accepted it. I stayed calm. I kept my faith. And it worked out. My bank took care of me.
Oh, they did.
Cash App took care of me. Bro, look here. One time I got to a point I got 2 650s. They got their money back. But I would have been like,
do I want to?
Yeah,
let me keep it quiet.
Yeah, but my account looking good for me. But they took care of me. You know what I'm saying? I have car insurance. So I was able to get my car fixed.
Oh, yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like, it wasn't crazy. I wasn't hurt from it. Got my car fixed. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like the new position that I end up getting. I essentially ended up making more money with less responsibilities.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Wow.
And that new position carried on to all the shows that Fox, the company is Fox, that I work on Fox, that Fox did here in Atlanta. I worked on 4 shows back to back as a driver.
Yes.
I met so many celebrities, and I do that quotations because they my homies now. You feel me? I don't know. I might be a celebrity now. Shit. You feel me?
Okay.
But I got some really prominent people in my phone, and I'm like a person, so I don't never want to take pictures with them and be weird and shit like that. I have more pride knowing that this my homie, and I can call this nigga anytime I feel like it, or I could call sis and make sure she's straight. But you feel me? I got some people that we grew up watching in my phone type
That's
shit.
pretty fine.
You feel me? But that would have never happened if I stayed in the position I was in. If I stayed where I was in, I'd have did 1, maybe 2 jobs in that.
You would have
been looking for something else. But because I was a driver and I'm good with people like me that request me, I kept getting hired. You know, so that was a blessing. So everything ended up working out, and God made room. It's like, and I didn't mention this, but friends that I have, relationships that are important to me, I stopped talking to a lot of people. You know, and it wasn't because they bad people or they don't have my best interests at heart, but it's like for whatever reason in that season, I was separated from people. I was stripped from a lot, from everything. But then God replaced it with people who like are cool as fuck, who love me for me, who honor me. You know what I'm saying? And that's the type of people I need in my life. You know, and it's like when you on the trajectory and you make your mind up that you're gonna follow a path.
Yep.
And God is supporting you on that path.
Yes. And
sometimes, you know, things are going to get ripped from you. And new things are going to come in because those new things or people, opportunities are going to support you in the new space that you're heading into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, for the old people, I mean, it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong. Because I mean, with
Exactly.
my situation, obviously, like my friendship, that was a really, really close friendship. We were friends
Right.
since middle school. So I know for a fact, like, this is somebody I love, I care about. I know she's a good person. I know that she has good intentions. I know all those things. It's just that when we had the conversation, just to add to what you're saying, when I had a conversation when I was leaving the job and I was telling her, you know, in a little break room area, I was like, I can't, I have to leave because we're lying too much and I can't do it. And she was just like, well, I lied on all my other sales jobs. I told her I never had to lie on any of my sales jobs.
Right.
I didn't have to.
Right.
I didn't have to. And so you have to realize that sometimes it's not that it's anything wrong or
Right.
anything that they did wrong. It's just that it's misalignment. And I told her, because she has I'm sorry, I'm getting really astrology heavy right now. I was just about to say
said
something
some
else.
things I'm gonna bring back up.
About to say something
Go ahead and
else.
say, 'cause I'm gonna bring it up. We're gonna do some explanations.
Okay, so she has a Mercury ruled chart. So her rising sign is ruled by the planet of Mercury. So Mercury is known as a trickster energy. I don't have no Mercury ruled planets in my natal chart.
Right.
None. Yes, I have it in my houses or whatever, but they're empty. I don't have a planet that is trickster in nature to
Right.
even say that I could flourish in a situation like that, to where I wouldn't get karma from a situation like that.
Right. Yeah, it just don't work for you.
It just doesn't work for me. What someone else can do, sometimes you just can't do.
Yeah.
And because of that, we have to separate, maybe for the time being or for however it is, but that's the reality.
Yeah.
So.
No, and I agree. And even with my relationships too with my people, it's like they not bad people. They love me. I love them. If I
Yes.
call them, we gonna pick up where we left off
Yes.
from. It's the same, but it's just the consistency in their life isn't as consistent, and that's okay. It's because in this space, either I have to be alone or I'm going to be with some people who I'm
Are
gonna be
truly
consistent with them, and it's like
Yeah.
they better serving me in this space, and it's not like a thing I'm even consciously thinking about. I'm just kind of just flowing with life as it come, you know.
I agree.